to pop in and kind of explain where I'm at in, let's call it, my comic journey. I have always been a fan of Spider-Man. It was just kind of like one of the things I was interested in as a kid. The series that I really liked was this Dan Slott one of The Amazing Spider-Man Worldwide, in which it's very much a Spider-Man Iron Man story, and it's very like techie, evolved, adult Spider-Man. And I think that is what got me in love with reading trades. Like, I would much rather read a trade than a single issue, and part of that has to do with like the wait time. Like, if I'm gonna have to wait every couple of weeks for a book to come out, like, I might as well just wait for the trade to come out and then get a much bigger chunk of the overall story at once. And that's kind of what I feel. I also really like that you can stack trades up on your bookshelf. Like, I think they look nicer. Whereas it kind of pains me that like single issues just get filed away in short boxes or whatever. I kind of started going wild with my single issues, but I'm not reading the single issues because I'm not collecting them in order. Like, I'm kind of getting what I get. I'm trying to complete a run of the Spectacular Spider-Man. I am working on Sensational like really in the back burner because they don't come up that often. And then when I find Amazings, I'm also grabbing them. But for the most part, I'm focused on Spectacular just because it seems like the most attainable run of issues to grab. But when the Ultimate Spider-Man came out, I was torn because I have now started collecting single issues, and I didn't know if I wanted to read this issue by issue because that would be really cool to collect issue by issue. But at the same time, it's like I have a hard time arguing with like the value of a trade versus a single issue when an issue of the new Ultimate Spider-Man is gonna run you like $5, but a trade is gonna run you $20 for 6 issues. It's kind of like a no-brainer where I am now with the 2 trades of Ultimate Spider-Man, because I think ultimately this is my preferred way to read them. And maybe down the road, or maybe I'll finish 1 and 2 and I'll go snag issues 13 and 14 and keep up with the issues at that rate. I don't know. I think it's kind of just going to depend on how I'm enjoying these when I get to the end of volume 2. Is that a weird, wild move to make? I don't know. It's a really messy, big world, and I don't really know how to keep up with it. So this is my approach. Is Father Murdoch, is that Matt Murdock? This like intersection of characters is so new to me, and obviously this is really different than what I think we've seen in anything else. So I don't know like what should be familiar, and I'm certainly gonna miss things, but like the flip of the Osborns being like good, and it seems like Stark is bad. Okay, so I just finished issue 1, and this confirms I don't want to be reading this issue by issue. I would have been so not mad, but antsy if I had finished issue 1 and then had to wait. So I gotta keep going. Bye. I'm sure there's nothing to be scared of. What are we scared of? Photoshop. Tell me about it. 1. I love that Richard is just like this little brainiac, like nerdy. And then 2, I'm dying to figure out what MJ's business is. I need more soup. This right here is also why I like trades. I like just like finishing an issue and then seeing what all the cover variants were. It's really interesting that adult Peter doesn't seem to have like the sarcasm. He's got the wit, but it's not punky. And then now that he's Spider-Man, he's got that sarcasm. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing that he didn't seem to have it in the first few pages. Okay, this fight scene with Goblin and Spidey like has me turning the pages so fast that I'm not looking at the art, so then I feel like I have to go back, but I think I'm just gonna read it all again. I don't know. What do you do? MJ's a marketing genius? I love this. On to 6 now, and I'm really interested if this book is gonna end in a spot that feels nice or not. I want to figure out in this book how Peter gets the little light brick from Stark. Like, how does that come to him? And also, how long is it going to take for him to tell MJ? Or like, is MJ just going to find out, or like, does she already know? 4 months is what this book spans. That's a big chunk of time. So book 1 ends in a very good place, and I need a snack. And then I thought I was gonna maybe save book 2 and read a little bit later this afternoon, but I'm going straight in. I like this whole like integrity and nobility of the papers, like the 2 papers being at war. We've got a lot of just stuff to be invested in, and it's so early on. I'm also starting to wonder, like, what am I missing out on by not reading any of the other Ultimate series, or even just like the basic Ultimates series, because let's be honest, I'm not gonna do that, but like, it probably would help. The coloring of like these blues and purples in this arcade scene is really, really cool. Look at this one. That's so cool. I'm starting 12, the sun is setting fast, and my fingers are getting cold. I'm struggling to turn the pages, but it's just one of like our first nice days, so I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna go inside. Happiness is being surrounded by the people you love. Oh, this one's not gonna end in a good place. Fear is knowing it can all be taken away. Joy, we get an epilogue. Cool. Oh. Now that I've read both of these, which contain the first 12 issues of the Ultimate Spider-Man series, I want to go back on my word. I want to run to the comic book store. I want to grab issue 13 and I want to grab issue 14. Because quite literally, what the... I like, the ride at the end of 2, where you're just like on such a high and then boom, such a low for like 2 pages. I'm really, really, really excited to keep reading these. If we're 2 issues in now to what will be volume 3, it's gonna be a few more months. There are so many things to just like keep track of and stay interested in this, whether it be Peter and MJ, like the family, Peter as a character growing and into Spider-Man. You've got all of the villains to focus on. You've got the city of New York to focus on. You've got the newspaper drama to focus on. You've got Gwen's business versus MJ's business and how they're all working together. You've got the weird dynamic of the 2 couples like wanting to hang out and be friends, but it being kind of tense. You've got the boy drama with Parker and Osborn and like Digital Stark, and then also Ock. There's a lot to be invested in, and like I think we're gonna get more from the kids, and really volume 2 was such a peek into all of the villains. Something that I think is really, really well balanced after reading these is like the amount of fighting versus not fighting. Like, I actually, maybe this is unpopular, but like I don't want to read pages on pages of superhero fights. I'm more here for like the Spider-Man sense of humor and Peter Parker. So I don't need the whole book to be fist fights and like pows and punches. And I think this is like really well balanced here. I don't want to cave. I really don't want to start collecting single issues at 13. Like, realistically, I think it would be really, really hard to backtrack. I cannot imagine being somebody who's reading all of the Ultimate series that are going on right now. I don't know. I love Nate over at Speed Sultan's new comic book day vlogs, but then also he did like a tier ranking video of all the Ultimate series, and he's really fun to watch. And so I'm going to be living vicariously through people's non-spoiler reviews of the next few issues, but boy, it's gonna be a long wait. So in the meantime, let's read some books.